The topic of today's meditation being the state of our mind. And we all know that the state of our mind becomes the state of our life. And we've all heard this saying in several different ways and variations. And at the end of it, if we don't understand this nature that our mind has, then we've actually given up a certain part of control in our personalities and then our life. Because the state of our mind ends up guiding our choices, ends up creating our personalities, and this state of mind then feeds into every area of our lives, whether it's work or family or friends or whatever it is, the different tentacles that are part of our life, the different segments that are part of our life. And in looking at the personality of our mind, one very common trait is storytelling. I had a client of mine a couple weeks ago. We were talking about how now that he's working from home, his family members, including his teenage children, started to spot more and more and comment to him more and more about how negative he was. And so we started to work on thoughts. We started to work on, let's look at the state of our mind. Let's look at the nature of our thoughts that pass by. And interestingly enough, for him, it was storytelling. And he was naturally inclined towards fear. This could have been, and this can be for any of us, from childhood experiences, from experiences at school, from personal experiences, from peer experiences. This doesn't come from anywhere. But the ability to be able to identify this gives us that quality of life. The ability for us to understand what are those looping thoughts, what are those repetitive thoughts, and then creating a distance from it is what gives us the power to change our state of life. If our state of mind is not conducive, neither will our state of life be conducive to our well-being. And there's no better time for us to observe this than now during the pandemic. We have a million reasons to be sad, to be lonely, everything. I mean, I can go over the list, but each one of you know, between social distancing and having no social life, and our children, for those of us that are parents, having children at home, and for those of us that are working from home, there's a million reasons why our mind can spiral out of control and be more attracted towards that looping of that thought, almost numbing our connection with ourselves. And really, what happens is when the mind goes, when we become mindless, and when thoughts a thought will generate a feeling will then generate a thought, and this loop can go on and on and on to create an identification with these thoughts and feelings, where we feel like we are the thought, we are the feeling. And that's when we say, I am sad, I am mad. But truly, the actual verbiage is, I am feeling sad, I am feeling mad. So getting to that space of equanimity, getting to that space of even-mindedness requires us to understand what is the nature of our mind. There's no right or wrong in this. Each one of us has a different nature. With storytelling for this client of mine, if you ask my own family members and ask them, my top 5 quality traits, I guarantee you being organized is at the top of the list. That's because I have a planning mind. I have a mind that is always planning, and many times to my detriment, where I have to catch myself and ask myself, what are you planning again? What are you planning for now? And it's always the planning for the next moment. So that's the nature of my mind. I tend to loop in, one plan to the next plan to the next plan until I stop myself. And this is why I feel this work of mindfulness and meditation is so important, because it creates that space and then it builds equanimity.